So Westworld is one of our favorite series, and since Season 2 is coming out in just a few days, we thought we'd summarize everything that's happened in Season 1 in case you forgot. If you haven't seen Season 1, we don't know why you're here, but spoiler alert. Alright, let's start off with a character chart. In Westworld, the characters are split to management, hosts, and guests. In management we have Robert Ford, the co-founder of Westworld, Bernard, the head of programming, Lee Sizemore, the head of narrative, Teresa, the head of quality assurance, and Charlotte Hale, the representative from the board. Then we have Elsie and Stubbs, Felix, and Sylvester. With the hosts we have Dolores, of course, the oldest host in the park, and her lover Theodore. There's also Maeve, Clementine, and Hector. Then there's Lawrence. And finally we have our guests, the Man in Black, the largest shareholder of Westworld, and then there's William and Logan. It's also important to remember that Season 1 takes place along 3 timelines. The present, where the Man in Black is looking for the center of the maze. Maeve is attempting to leave or escape the park.
It's time you and I had a chat.
And Ford is making his new narrative. Now, the other 2 timelines take place in the past. One where William and Logan arrive at Westworld, and even further past, pre-Westworld, where Dolores and Bernard's, or I should say Arnold's, meetings take place. So when we go over the storyline, to make it easier to track which timeline the events are on, look at the Cineversum logo. If it's in pink, then it means the events are happening in the present, and if it's in blue, then it's in the past, and if it's in black, then it's in pre-Westworld. Now that that's all been cleared up, let's quickly go over the storyline. Episode 1 opens with Bernard doing a regular checkup on Dolores, seeing if she's having any thoughts of her own.
Have you ever questioned the nature of your reality?
Then we're introduced to Teddy, who's in love with Dolores. And on their way back to Dolores' house, there was a shootout, after which we have our first encounter with the Man in Black. Down in the facilities, Bernard tells Elsie about the reveries, an update that Ford slipped in. This is very important because these reveries rely on the retention of certain memories in the hosts to make them more real. Abernathy, Dolores' father, digs up a picture of the outside world and starts malfunctioning, and whispers something in Dolores' ears. Stubbs examines Dolores and asks her what her father whispered to her. She tells him,
These violent delights have violent ends.
William and Logan arrive to the park and decide to go on an adventure to Pariah. After what her father whispered to her, Dolores starts getting more memories, and when she bumps into Maeve, she tells her,
These violent delights have violent ends.
And it looks like these words are programmed to be some kind of trigger, because Maeve starts malfunctioning too. In his search for the center of the maze, the Man in Black rescues a man named Lawrence to help him. We're shown that Bernard and Teresa have an affair, and nothing else much happens in this episode. It ends with Ford hinting his new storyline. Ford uploads a backstory for Teddy and tells him about Wyatt. So Teddy goes along with the sheriff to hunt for Wyatt, but gets beaten up by Wyatt's men. The reveries that Ford put in cause some hosts to malfunction, so Stubbs and Elsie bring one in, the woodcutter. Ford tells Bernard about Arnold and Arnold's ambitions to create a conscious being.
He wanted the real thing.
And we learn about Bernard's dead son. The shootout at Dolores' house happens again, but this time she manages to kill the hosts that tried to rape her, and she escapes and runs into William. Bernard tells Dolores about the maze.
The maze.
What kind of game is it?
The Man in Black, along with Lawrence, cut a deal with Armistice to rescue Hector Escatan in exchange for information about the maze. After that, the Man in Black runs into the beaten-up Teddy and takes him along.
Looks like misery's all you got.
Meanwhile, Ford talks to Teresa about his new narrative. Maeve gains memories of being shot in the stomach, so she cuts her stomach open to prove to herself that she isn't delusional. The Man in Black kills Lawrence since he no longer needs him. Elsie examines the woodcutter and finds out he has a laser-based satellite uplink. She suspects this is used by someone to smuggle data out of the park. Ford examines Dolores and asks her about Bernard and Arnold.
He told me I was going to help him.
Help him do what?
To destroy this place.
Dolores, William, and Logan arrive at Pariah and meet El Lasso. He asks them to steal a shipment of nitroglycerin from the Union convoys and bring it to him to the Confederados. When Dolores and William bring El Lasso the nitroglycerin, however, he cons the Confederados and makes a run for it. but William and Dolores catch up to him on the train, abandoning Logan. Ford talks to the man in black about the center of the maze,
Thanks to me. Well, maybe he left something behind.
and the episode ends with Maeve waking up to talk to Felix. Bernard and LZ continue to investigate the woodcutter. In his investigation, Bernard finds 5 other unregistered hosts in Sector 17.
These are hosts that aren't registered with the new system?
So he goes there, but one of them gets hostile. Ford steps in and tells the host to stop.
That's enough. As you were.
Ford explains to Bernard that these hosts were created by Arnold himself, and are created in the image of Ford's family. Teddy and the Man in Black get captured by Union convoys, but they manage to escape. Felix takes Maeve upstairs to show her how the rest of the hosts are created, but when they get back to the room, Sylvester walks in on them and finds out what's going on. But Maeve quickly threatens him and forces them to boost her intelligence all the way up. Meanwhile, LZ goes to Sector 3 in an abandoned theater where she believes the broadcast relay is coming from.
Arnold?
But she gets killed. William and Dolores reach Ghost Nation. Maeve announces that she plans to leave the park, and Teresa finally meets the representative of the board, Charlotte Hale. Charlotte tells her that the board wants Ford out because he's keeping all the code and information exclusive to the park. So they set up a meeting with Bernard and Ford for a presentation, which we know is rigged. In it, they show Clementine acting to kill a guest, so they fire Bernard. Later, Bernard confronts Teresa and tells her that he knew it was a setup, but he doesn't care. He's more concerned with the unregistered hosts and the malfunctions with the hosts. He shows her Sector 17, but the hosts aren't there. So they go downstairs to the basement and Teresa finds out that Bernard is a robot.
Doesn't look like anything to me.
But Ford is there and he has Bernard kill Teresa. Ford brings Bernard back online and tells him to get rid of anything that would connect them to Teresa's death. Maeve has Felix give her administrative control over the other hosts and changes her core code, allowing her to harm humans. Maeve goes back to the bar and creates chaos. William and Dolores reach Escalante and go to the old white church she's been having flashbacks of. And when she gets there, she has a bunch of memories returning to her, but Logan shows up and captures them both. The Man in Black and Teddy get ambushed by a giant man, and during the fight, Teddy remembers how the Man in Black raped Dolores, so he knocks him out. When he comes to, the Man in Black tells him about his backstory and how his wife committed suicide. He tells him that he came to Westworld to find his true self, and how he found out about the maze and its center when he killed Maeve and her daughter. After the scene she made, Maeve is examined by Bernard, but she notices that he's like her.
Send him a message, highest priority.
Don't. After all, we've been down this road before, darling.
So Bernard confronts Ford and accuses him of killing Arnold. He forces Ford to give him access to all his memories. When he remembers his first memory of being recreated by Ford in the form of Arnold, Ford has him kill himself. Maeve meets Hector and convinces him to join her in her plan to escape. William wants Dolores to leave the park with him, but Logan thinks he's crazy and he shows him a picture of his wife in the real world. This is the same picture that Abernathy saw before he malfunctioned. Then he cuts Dolores' stomach open, but she escapes to the white church town. So William kills everyone overnight and takes Logan prisoner to find Dolores.
You said this place was a game. Last night I finally understood how to play it.
Dolores enters the church and goes downstairs. She sees the creation of some of the hosts and finds the place where she's been having meetings with Arnold. Then she remembers that she killed Arnold. The Man in Black finds Dolores and asks her about the center of the maze. She has flashbacks of when Arnold told her that if she found the center of the maze, she would be set free. She also finds out that she's Wyatt. She tells the Man in Black that William will find her and save her, but the Man in Black reveals that he is William. Teddy finally finds them and rescues Dolores. Charlotte notifies Ford that he's getting fired after he introduces his new narrative.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
Maeve and her team go to the decommissioned area and fix the dead Bernard. He tells Maeve that someone altered her storyline to escape, that she's still programmed. Maeve is furious that she's still not in control.
No one's controlling me.
The facilities get locked down and security searches for Maeve and her team. Maeve manages to escape and gets on the train, but returns to the park before the train departures. In the flashbacks of when before the park opens, Arnold tells Dolores to kill him and all the other hosts, and then kill herself, in an attempt to destroy the park. But as we know, Ford still manages to open the park. Ford introduces his new narrative, Journey into the Night, and gives a final speech to the board of directors. Then he lets all the hosts go free. They kill everyone, Ford included.
Nightmares creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating.